This is the SX50 on the bottom, and above there is the SX60. So that's from the right front. One thing they improved, you'll notice, or I'll point out, is this rubber grip. This is a rubberized grip, and it is an improvement over the 50. It's just shiny, smooth plastic there. Also looks, certainly from the front of the flash, to be further out. Not a lot though. This is a 50x zoom. This is a 60x zoom. From the back, the 50 has a 2.8 inch LCD swivel articulating screen. The 60 has a 3.0, and the one I'm using to take this video at the moment is an SX10, and it has 2.7 inches. Let's see how much difference we can tell between the 2.8 and the 3. 2.8 on top. There, of course, is the respective difference in the back. Now, one thing they did horribly wrong in the SX60 on top is this button right here. This puts things direct to your telephone, which you're going to use maybe once a month. Certainly, I don't know, maybe if you're a teenager, but teenagers aren't going to buy this camera. Really, when it comes right down to it. It's not SLR, but it's top of the line below SLR. Well, not top of the line. There is a bridge camera version with a larger sensor that goes up to a 16x zoom. This is top of the line for a super zoom. Up there with the Panasonic, what is it? Something 200, FZ200, and Nikon's P500, 600 series. At any rate, they put that phone in there, which is okay if you added a new button for it, but if you look around here, you're not going to see ISO. Now, ISO is something you use all the time. It's on the 50, right there. So, got display and menu on the bottom. Here we've got cell phone and menu on the bottom. Display has moved up to the territory formerly occupied by ISO, which is a design blunder. If you ask me, it's just incredibly stupid. Add another button, guys. The next thing is when you turn the power on, up here, the light goes on in the back. Same with the SX50. Light goes on in the back. And that's the only light on the entire thing. With the SX10, I'll show you that in a minute. Both of them have your diopter here. Notice how much bigger the screen, the dial is here on the 50 than it is on the 60. You just barely get it at it with your fingernail here. This one you can actually get a little bit of skin on it. This is a shortcut button, that's what the S stands for. I shouldn't have to tell you, if you're even looking at the review, the beauty of the fully articulating screens. Not the least of which is the fact that they close rather than a tilt screen, and rather than a non-movable screen, which completely sucks, and I refuse to buy a camera with one unless it has some tremendous other advantages. Is that you're protecting your screen when you want. You close it that way. Now when I got that open, I really like this idea of showing the level. Check this baby out. I mean, that is just sweet. It is not on the SX10. It was not on the 20. I think they introduced it on the 30 or 40. It's definitely on the 50. And on, that's the 60 we're looking at there. So let's get it on here. There it is on the 50. It has a different look. It's just a bar that goes, what is that, white and then green in the middle when you get it. This one has the nice little airplane wings, and it goes green. They're red, and it goes green when you hit the sweet spot. Very nice level feature. Even though I used to be a photographer that got paid by a newspaper, it surprised me that I was taking recently, when I got back into photography 5-6 years ago, taking pictures that were crooked, some, to the horizon. And so I was thankful in my particular case for being given a level. Oh, the SX60 eliminated the long complained about thumb wheel here. Unfortunately, they didn't add a second one, they just moved it up to here. It's better than on the back, I'll give it that. So that's an improvement in the 60. Mostly the 60 did not improve in things. This is the thumb wheel I'm talking about. You turn it this way and you gotta kind of do it. See how it changes? Your setting, depending on what you're on. That's on aperture right now. I have aperture priority set here. A major flaw of the thumb wheel system is that there are other functions on here. So, like, if I want to spin, but I press a little bit, then I'm going to get the function behind that quadrant of here. And then I've got to get myself back out of it in some cases. That's how you do it. I hated it at first, then I sort of got used to it. But look, I'm trying to turn it now and it's sliding underneath me. So you've got to set up your mind to make sure you're gripping it right. It's not going to be the case with this guy. It's more true. On the SX10, it has the old wheel, but it actually has kind of a better grip than the SX50 when they got up there. Okay, so let's swing it. Oh, as far as you're not going to be able to see this right. I wish you could, but as far as the size inside the viewfinder, it's a 0.20 of an inch on the SX50, also on the SX60. On my SX10, which was my original foray into the Canon SX series, it has a 0.40. It's twice the size. It's giant. I feel like I'm sitting in a movie theater looking through the screen, the viewfinder right now while looking at this. It is giant. That sense is gone. Let me put on the SX10 actually. Switch cameras here. Now we're moving. I'm in 1280 now, which they switched to in the SX20. SX20 looked exactly the same. Same size screen, same lens, 20x zoom. But it went to, the main purpose of going to the SX20 was to add HD video, which now we're in. 720 height, 1280 width. I happen to think this SX10 is better looking because it has silver red here. Let's compare it. There's virtually no difference in looks for as the case between the SX50 and 60. I'm shooting with the SX50 now. See, now you've got monotone color there. Here I've got nothing on the side. Well, okay, so where is this thing actually called an SX60? Way over there. It's called an SX60 down the bottom. This one's up here. Two colors. It's more expensive to do two colors. So you know they're cutting back on money. Could be a design feature, but oftentimes they're cutting back on money when you see less colors. This says 10 megapixel, which is a ton. It's plenty for me. I don't want these 20 megapixels cameras, and Canon's even figured that out and started reducing their megapixel counts on some of their cameras recently. Colors coming around to this side. You've got red here, and on the SX60 red is gone. Oh, it's a 65x zoom. Okay, I'm glad I looked at that. The 50 is 50x zoom. So the SX60 65, the SX50 50x zoom. And this one's the 20x that I mentioned. And the color, as opposed to no color. And then from the top, see, look at, you get a whole bevy of different colors now showing. There's the gold back there, the white, and the red. And here, it's not much ink at all, and one color. That's it. Okay. Now, the back of the screen, this back of the cameras, SX60 on the top left, SX10 here. I want to show you the missing light that I don't know when it disappeared. Probably on the 30 or 40 for all I know. In the SX30 is when they went to, they went away from AA batteries, which irritated a lot of people, myself included. But I don't know when they dropped that light. If you look down below the menu button on the right, that is a LED light. Now it's an addition to the one that's on the top right there, green, showing that I'm on and in play mode. That would change to orange when I'm in record mode, or even in photography waiting mode. That green light will change to orange. On the SX60 and also the 50 that I'm holding, you'll never get a change of color. It's always green. So here I've got one light that's serving a dual function on the SX10, giving me two different colors, tell me whether I'm in play mode or record or photography mode. This one, always green, I believe. And then on the SX10, I also got this guy down here, which you won't know about until, look down here on the SX60. Nothing there. Nothing anywhere else. Nothing on top. Let's turn this little booger on. See, that's all you get is the green. Nothing on top. Nothing anywhere else. If I start recording with this guy, I probably won't go into record mode because of, yeah, it won't. Let's see if I go into camera mode. It's in camera mode now. If I check play mode, no memory card, no other light. Still green though. So go back to record of stills mode and it's still green. This guy, green here. Now I'm gonna go press this shutter button and see it change orange? I'll go back to play mode, which is here. And it should go to green. Talk it into working. There it goes. Green. Beautiful, huh? Dual function. Dual, twice the information. Now, take this baby into, what am I? I'm in set, so I'm in play mode. Go back into still photography mode. Change to orange. And then go into record. Notice the button's out here on the SX60. And it's also out there on the 50. On the 10, go out to here and press record and I'll show you something. Bingo. Red light. Not there. So you can't, I mean, I get this massive information. I like information on my camera, and Canon even does too. If you go to their more expensive cameras, they fill them with nice little informative toys for the photographer. Not on the SX series any longer, though they used to. They got the double size viewfinder inside 0.40 as compared to 0.20 here. Not what you're looking through here. Well, it's even bigger on the outside actually, but it's twice the size in the SX10 as it is in the SX50 and 60. This is a 2.7 inch screen. There's 3 inch, 2.7. 2.7 is plenty, but 3 is fine also. I like the dual tone colors here, more buttons on the back of the SX10. I own the SX50 now. I didn't want to pay $550 for the SX60 to get the extra 15x zoom lens, lose an ISO button in here and down there on the SX50, not gain anything really radically great about it. I don't care about that cell phone button. I already have a level in the SX50, so I didn't need it. So I'm still in record. Shut that off. Now it should go back to, okay, see, it's orange now, so it's still set in photography still and waiting mode. I might give a better shot of that thing turning green when I press here. Good. Play button. There. Beautiful, huh? So that's about it. The major differences, design blunders, I would say getting rid of the ISO button beforehand, getting rid of this extra light down here, getting rid of this dual tone colored thing here, acing losing the battery, AA battery option. Did I already say the 0.40, the double size viewfinder? Probably did. What they've gained, nothing much on the 60 except a longer zoom, and then things that I don't want, like the Wi-Fi Wi-Fi's okay, I suppose. I'd use it once in a while. I don't know where the shortcut button is. Certainly not seeing it. These were brought in to help you zoom out quickly, because this intense zoom at 65 or even at 50, they're on the 50 also, is so far that this was incorporated so that it zooms you out quickly. In a hurry, if you lose where you're at in the scene. I don't use it. I suppose I understand the purpose behind it, and I thought, wow, that might be cool. And then it's on my 50. It's on the SX50. I got both of those exact buttons, and I don't use it. I'll tell you one thing. Here's one thing the 60 did add, and it's handy that we're looking at it, is a microphone jack. Very, very useful if you're doing like interviews. The other way to do it is to, because if you haven't got a jack, and your person's 10 feet away from you, then you're not going to get good sound 15 feet away if you're outside. So the other way to do it is a handheld audio, digital audio recorder, and then match them up by the visual profile on the soundtrack line in your video editor, which can be done. It's not exceedingly difficult, but this is pretty darn handy too, to just be able to put a jack in here. And you can also use a remote, a leveler mic with a radio transmitter remote, so that you wouldn't have to have a wire running the 10 or 15 feet. So that's one thing the SX60 definitely did right. Reviewers, and I'm not reviewing the photography quality here, but reviewers roundly give both of these excellent scores for the still images, but not necessarily at the end of the zoom range in the 65X. And I found that myself taking pictures here in the store, not necessarily at the extent of it. And the same with the 50. So what I find myself doing, and it's unfortunate actually, when you zoom on these, it doesn't give you a clear reading of exactly where you are. So you have to graphically look at it, and at the bar that goes across the top. Think of the level on the SX50, that kind of bar, to show you when you're full zoomed out. You have to, I just back it up a crank. And I don't know exactly where that ends up being, but that's just to ensure better images. It would be nicer if Canon had taken care of that, if they'd have just lopped off 5X or something and only giving you the crisp end. However, they made their decision. This sucker, like the 50, forces you to start a new folder every month, which is absurd, folks. The SX10 does not. I'm never required to, see if I can get menu and find that. I'm never required in the 50. It's not gonna, select by folder, select all folders. But at any rate, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it right now. Format, file numbering, create folder, auto rotate on, distance units, lens retract. Somewhere on this thing, I don't remember where it is, but it allows me to turn off the automatic creation of folders, so that I can put everything, 200, 300 prints over a year period, 5 prints over a year period, whatever it is. I can keep them all in the same folder. These stupid things, the newer ones, they force you to, it auto creates new folders and doesn't let you shut it off. This one, the SX10, will auto create new folders, but you can shut it off, which is rather sweet. Okay, SX10, looking at. I said you could auto create new folder, auto create off. Do not find that in the SX50 or 60. So there you have it. Better looking as far as I'm concerned. The SX10 that I just transitioned out of, I waited. I tried out the 30. I looked at the 40. I looked at the 50, and I waited till the 60 came out. And when the 60 came out, I said, okay, it's not worth $550. So I'll pick up a SX50, a used one, for, what did I pay? $225 maybe. And that's the one I'm holding right now, and it's my camera now. Why this instead of an SLR? Hey, I don't want to be changing lenses all the time or carrying around all that crap or that expensive stuff to buy, and then maybe if you get it stolen, replace. But one of the main things, on top of the huge hassle of the weight, and the less likelihood of capturing as many pictures, is you can't zoom in and out in video. And video is a big part of what I do these days, and I like the ability to you, I mean, yes, you can zoom in some with an SLR, but let's say I want to go, this is only a 20x, but let's say I really want to zoom in right now. Get this baby to focus. What am I on, the SX50? Yeah. There it goes. Okay, you don't get that kind of a, so I have, this is not a 20x, this is a 50x, because I'm shooting with the SX50. You're never going to get that kind of range in an SLR, 50x zoom, and sometimes you need that in videos, especially like, let's say you're taking pictures, videos of jets taking off, and they're clear at the other end of the runway when they start, and then they take off over your head. You can't do that with an SLR. It's flat out impossible to find a zoom that has that kind of breadth of field. 50x, 65x, and this one even 20x. You're not going to find a 20x zoom in a good SLR camera. You'll get better still images. You don't necessarily get better video images in an SLR, because these things take very good video images. They do it better than, I would say, the still images. These what they used to call them super zooms. Sometimes they call them bridge cameras. I would say these take as good a video as you're going to get most of the time, with, I'm sure, some exceptions depending on the different brands. But these Canons I've used, excellent videos. You're never going to get that. Even if I had an expensive Canon SLR or Nikon SLR, I wouldn't use it to go get video down at the airport, or let's say boat racing, or kids on bikes, you know, coming at you and then going away. Just whatever, just really basically anywhere. I would not use an SLR these days except for still images. That's about it, and they take fabulous still images. Granted, this is one of Canon's SLRs right here. Speaking of, what is that? Is that a T5? Yeah, T5, and I don't see an eye on the end. I think it has to have an eye on the end to have the swiveling back screen, and this one certainly does not have a swiveling back screen, but that's an SLR. Lens comes off. This lens, whatever it is, it's probably got some zoom power, but 24 to 55, that's a pretty regular stock lens. 24 to 55, even if you get an 80 to 200, or if you could get somebody to give you an 80 to 300, I got, on these babies, I got like 24 to 1500. You're not going to find it on the SLR. Just forget about it. So in that case, these are the sweet spot as far as I'm concerned. SX10 batteries are underneath. Batteries, plural, 4AA. And there's no SD card in there. As I showed you, it's on the side. So these batteries just pop out as you'd expect. Excellent convenience. The problem with AA batteries is sometimes one of them goes dead before the others, and that is inconvenient. So anyway, why am I spending so much time talking about the SX10? Well, partly to illustrate that it's better looking, and not really more expensive better looks. Maybe a little bit more for different colorizing, but it could be that there's a different exec in charge down at Canon, and he just doesn't care about looks anymore. But there's also the possibility that, and I think it's exposed in design features, SX10 and 20 being about the same thing, is that they deliberately dumb down these cameras, not only in image quality but in other areas, to make a bigger jump between these and the SLRs. In other words, my theory is that if they gave you what could be available in these babies, and is becoming more available recently, now that the camera market is drying up due to so many people using their cell phones. So they're making bridge cameras, especially compact cameras, better these days. But before, in this series, and as it got further past the SX10, 20, 30, 40, 50, now 60, there was this gap, and it's a deliberate gap, I believe, because they don't want your SLR crowd who, oh my gosh, I mean, you buy a camera and 3 lenses and you're at $2,000, $2,500 right there. That's a big customer, and then those type of people tend to keep buying more things, especially as they get newer. You know, newer features come out, so you don't necessarily want to lose those by putting too much into one of these little bridge cameras. That's why I think you'll find so much missing. The absence of the AA batteries, the smaller, going to a smaller viewfinder that they did in the 30, 40, 50, 60. Other manufacturers too do not have a 0.40 inch. They all have around the 0.2 inch. Fuji, I think, has a 0.26, and Panasonic has around in there, 0.24, 0.26 in some models, not all of them. So the gap, the deliberate gap, where you trade off, you lose some features to get one of these. What you gain, and this is important, is this tremendous zoom ability. Even a 20x zoom kicks butt on a SLR setup. Now that you're up to 50 and 65x zoom, it's out of this world, and SLR can never compete with that. I'm talking about if you're shooting a picture of video, and in one video you need to zoom in and out the full length or a significant portion of it in the video. You cannot accomplish that in an SLR with the need to change lenses. So these guys do something an SLR cannot. It's fabulous in that way. Also, the other reason for pointing out the strengths of this SX10 is that if 20x zoom is enough for you, 20x, and you want AA batteries, and depending on whether a 640 video is sufficient, you could get the SX10. If you want 720 video, you could get the SX20, identical, except the video. And maybe these would be enough for you. These are I'm not selling this camera. I'm keeping it because it's useful to me sometimes right now. Partially in making this video, actually, but other times I think its macro capability and its 20x zoom capability may be a little bit crisper than the SX50. So therefore, in my opinion, this is still a worthy candidate for your go-to camera. If you're the person in that category, 20x zoom's enough, you want AA batteries, that would be a main reason for getting one of these. You still got the full articulating lens, the better viewfinder, and this one has, like I said, the audio memo recording capability. Canon still in the SX60 has not added GPS yet, so you don't even have everything you could get in a bridge camera. What it does have, among other things, the SX60, of course, the microphone jack, if that's important to you. And let's see what else, the level, which I have in the 50, and I don't know when they introduced it, but it's definitely in the 50 and the 60. Level may or may not be a big deal to you, but it's another factor to consider. Remember the double light color here, the extra LED light, and I put it on to record, then I get the red light flashing back there. Not on anything after this series that I know of. This series I call the SX10 and 20 are a series. Standard on-screen information of the SX10. You can see I've got it in macro there. Oops, I don't know what I hit, but try that again. I thought, okay, it's over here to the left. There you go. So there's your on-screen information. I've got just about everything showing. I do not think Canon puts enough colors out here. This is the SX10 we're looking at, and they haven't improved that feature on the SX50 or 60. This is the SX50. You got the same thing, absence of colors, just white, and then the green over there where the aperture or whatever it is you're dialing. So they've stuck with that motif of simplicity, the whole minimalism look that I consider dreadful. Going back to the 50s, black and white a lot, simple tones. Okay, I just want to add some final thoughts about this review in comparison. To me, other than the $300, if the $300 is not a factor to you, then the SX60 is a no-brainer over the SX50. You lose that ISO button, and that is a problem that I don't really like. But you could put it in the shortcut if you wanted. They've got the shortcut button here on top, and you could put ISO in there, and you would lose it. You know, you would lose your shortcut button in that way. Still, the things you gain on the SX60 over the 50 are significant. The thumb wheel switched up here, as we talked about. The 65X instead of, well, the other one was 50X. It went 24 to 1200. This one goes 21 to 1365. 21 millimeter gives you 3 more at the wide end, which is kind of cool. Let's see what else. The microphone jack right here. The Wi-Fi, which I'm sure will be useful at some point. The rubberized grip, which isn't just here, but it's also back here, compared to just straight plastic on the SX10 and also on the SX50. So, let's see what else. Anything else on that list? SX60 improvement, 3-inch monitor, small thing over the 2.8, and then the manual video control settings. That's kind of a big deal. Both of these go 1080. I keep on saying 720 because 720 is all I want, and it's a complete difference in size from the 640 of this one, and then I compare to the 720 you can get on the SX20. And so now you've got your YouTube shape, your normal shape that everybody's probably used to these days, but both of these go to 1080. All right, so that's it. That's the end of the SX60 over the 50. Like I said, no brainer. Take the 60, unless the $300 means is more important to you. And then the SX50, which I bought. I would rather have the $300 than the SX60's added items. And bear in mind also, you're beginning to save the $300. You're going to be getting the SX50 used, like I did. Now this one's in pretty darn good condition for used, but used it is. Yeah, that's what I would go. Now, for me, it was a much tougher jump. Easy jump to go from the 50 to the 60. No problem. And they waited 2 years. This one came out in 12, this one 14. Before that, the SX series always updated once a year. It's the first time they took 2 years from the 50 to the 60, and there was enough improvements to really make up for 2 years when it comes right down to it. Ask me, I still want that viewfinder bigger. I still want some of those activity lights back, and an activity light that I haven't talked about. Not an activity light, but a indicator light that I haven't really talked about on the SX10 is in the shortcut button right here. It comes on blue, not with the shortcut function, but with some other function that it's dual use. I don't remember what the other function was. So, harder for me. I would probably, if having the decision over again, I would give up the SX10 for the 20, so I get the 720p video. I didn't think that was going to make a difference to me, but after YouTube changed their shape and you start getting used to it, then 640 begins looking a little weird, although it can be kind of handy to have that room on the side of a video. Sometimes I even, when I'm doing talk on things, I do 640 even while using the SX50 because of that purpose. And it's also like in close-up when you're talking to the camera, you know, like a newscaster or something. The 720 is not really conducive to getting close up and showing where you should be, down at your shoulders and stuff, below your shoulders, I should say. So I would go the 20 and get the 720 video because I'm used to that, plainly used to it now most of the time, except that one issue. But anything that I'm shooting that isn't of me, then I'm going to want that in 720 these days. I'm not going to shoot 1080 because I do not want to burn the extra, the extra space on my hard drive. In fact, some of the zooming on these that you'll see that I did inside the store, those have all had the data rate reduced on them by me. So you're not even seeing the the best quality of the video, because I don't want these files to be giant because they're uploading. You know, I'm not making movies here. So anyway, back to here. I would take the 20, and then for me, it's a very tough jump to go from the 20 to either the 30, 40, 50, or 60 because of the things I've already mentioned many times. A very tough jump to go from there to there. But the 60 is, well, the 50 had already gone far enough that I was willing to do it. Why? Because I'm so limited with a 20x zoom. I really wanted that extra zoom. 35, 40, 50, something up there a lot higher. That was the major deal. And for me, I also really wanted that level. And then in the case 720, it wouldn't make any difference because I could have got that in the 20. But I gave up some of the precious things of this guy to get mainly the zoom. And the extra, the wide angle. This is a 28mm wide angle. This is a 24mm wide angle. That was important to me also, and it's a big deal. So the wide angle and the extra zoom. That was a tough decision. I really clung to this SX10 for a long time, giving up all of those nice features, mostly the AA batteries and the large viewfinder. Also, 2.8 aperture. This has a 2.8 aperture. Both of these are slower, 3.4 maximum width in the aperture. So less light gathering capability, less ability to gain the blurred background. Also less ability to capture a picture at all in low light situations. I actually gave that up too. 2.8, 3.4, 3.4. But it was time. Everybody else has got 50x, 60x zoom, even anything just above the 20. It had just been too long. Let's see, so what did I also got, and this something I really wanted was 120 frames per second at 640 that you get out of either one of these, which is super high-speed capture, and it turns around in the other end to equal, slow motion video. One thing missing from all of these cameras that Canon has yet to ever introduce, and it's kind of rare at all in this field of cameras, I believe Panasonic has it in the FC200, is pause. The ability to pause a video. How cool would that be? None of these have GPS, not even with the SX60 that came out in late 2014, and none of them have panorama shot, which, you know what, that would be kind of cool to have. So panorama I wouldn't consider major pause. For me, yes, I would consider pause major. GPS missing is a big deal, and the thing that I keep on harping on, the size of the viewfinder. Alright, let's show a little correction here on the 50, SX50. When I said it zooms and you don't know where you're zooming to, you do, but look what it's in. 3.2, 11 inches, 3.27 feet, 3.2 feet, 27.5 inches. What the heck is all that? I don't know what that is. But a thing I did notice a minute ago, surprisingly I don't know some of these features about my camera yet, is if I go into record here, while recording, I was completely wrong about that. See, it gives you, come on, let's see where I can get something dark. There it is. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay there long enough, but it does give you your zoom number. This one goes to 50. So, a little correction in that regard. I'm going to keep my 50. Maybe if Panasonic, a lot of us are still waiting for a successor to the FC200, which I would have gotten, but Panasonic also skipped a year in 2013, not increasing from their 26x zoom. I really wish they would have, because it's got a bigger viewfinder and a lot of features that Canon is only now getting around to already in the FC200, but they have not offered a successor to the FC200. And I don't know if they're going to do it. Fuji in the HS50 series, and also they've got a something Z1000 or something. Those are good cameras, they seem like it, but when I look at reviews, the deal breaker for me on them always comes down to, I can't find people who say that they have reliably crisp still images, which is, you know, that's a rather significant factor. I stayed away from the Sony. Sony has versions that are about the same size as these, but Sony has steadfastly refused the swivel screen. They've just gone with tilt, and tilt doesn't cut it for me. Tilt means, you know, you're always looking at this. You're going to have your nose on against it when you're looking through the viewfinder. I'm almost always looking through the viewfinder. So with the Sony, as if I'm taking a video of myself, not like this, but if I were talking to the camera for some other reason, I can't see what's going on in the image with a tilt-up screen. Sony has avoided the tilt-up screens, so they're off my eligibility list. I don't care what else they do. Got to have a fully articulating. That puts me back to Panasonic, Fuji, Canon, and Nikon to choose from. Nikon, you know, their viewfinder is the same size as these, but it sucks. And I cannot figure out, I've checked them 2 or 3 times, and I cannot figure out how to make their viewfinder not suck. Have glary images, and it seems smaller than usual, but mostly the glary, teeny, like way too high of contrast feel in the Nikon viewfinder, even though it's the same size, 0.20, as these later Canon generation. So that's it. Close out again. SX60, SX10, shooting with the 50 now, and hope it was useful to you. This review and comparison, it was to me, and it's been kind of fun. It's given me something different to do also from my other activities. There you go.